Hello and welcome back to Read Becca for my weekly catch-up on everything that I read, everything that I'm currently reading, and everything that I'm looking forward to reading. And this week, I actually think this is going to be a quick wrap-up for once. So I have two things I finished this week that I just don't have a ton to say about. I know I always say that, but this time for real. So the first was Lesser Known Monsters of the 21st Century by Kim Fu. This is a short story collection, and this is from Tin House. I generally tend to like their publications, and I did like this. It was fine. There weren't really any total duds in the collection for me. I think the strongest story here for myself was a story called Liddy First to Fly. We're following a girl. She seems fairly young, not quite a teenager, and we're seeing something strange happen in her life. She's growing something out of her feet. And she's surrounded by these friends. They kind of are speculating about what could be happening. They don't know. They're all trying to figure it out. And eventually, as things keep going on, they start pushing her to talk to her mom increasingly because they're concerned about what's happening. And it doesn't make total sense to them. They all don't know how to deal with this. But this girl, Liddy, just kind of keeps not wanting to talk to her mom, just pushing it off, until things continue to escalate. And her mother is just this absence in her life throughout the story. So what was this getting across? I don't know. I think it possibly could be about, having your first period, that sort of thing, or coming into puberty and just not knowing what's going on. But with this story, as with most others, this story in particular, I think, had the closest to sort of a conclusion and actually having a message to me. So as I said, I kind of read into that, coming into periods and puberty and coming of age, and just generally dealing with a lot of things at that coming of age time that you don't really understand, and needing resources from an adult to actually deal with those. So that one was the closest to having a conclusion. Everything else just sort of felt very middle of the road, where they didn't feel cohesive into a narrative. I didn't feel a sense of what the stories were trying to tell me. Some of them, there is one that's 3 short vignettes, none of them tied together or really had a meaning. It was this person recounting these fantasies that they have, not sexual, just dream-like fantasies. It was okay, I guess that's a story. So that was how I came out of this. Didn't hate any of them, didn't really love any of them, and the collection didn't really feel like it built on itself for me, so it was very okay. The second one was complete opposite end of the spectrum, where this was a surprise and totally loved this book. And on top of that, this is probably my first ever book that I have picked up on a Goodreads recommendation. So I don't know if other people are noticing this, but suddenly the Goodreads recommendations have actually been sort of useful recently, where the sidebar sort of, off to the side, there's usually one book that's recommended, and then down below, if you're looking at a book, it'll say, these books are recommended for you, That stuff has actually been hitting me with books that I am really interested in. Maybe they're actually finally paying attention to what's on my want to read list. I don't know. But the algorithm seems to have changed regardless. So this is a new release that I discovered entirely because of Goodreads, and it was perfect. So this is The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich by Dea Muniz. And just look at this cover. They are so cute. And specifically the back. I adore this back picture because, correct me if I'm totally off base here, but this reminds me so much of Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask. That's the vibe I'm taking away from this. However, this is a graphic novel, so I'll throw in some pictures here from the interior art. It's full color all the way through. It is a YA book, so no content to it. It's just pure fluff and sweetness, really. A little high emotion in terms of them just sort of flying off the handle dramatically at times, but I loved everything about the story. So what is the story? The story here is Camembert, Cam, is facing the fact at the beginning that her father has died. and she does not want to be married off to some random guy that she doesn't like or want to marry. She's not interested in men and has always been very open with her family about that. And in order to escape that fate, she moves away and rebrands herself as Count Camembert. So she's living as a man in the big city and runs into the opportunity to meet Princess Brie, who is over here, who of course is the love interest. So as you can tell, all of the naming conventions are very cheese-centric. Cheese names for everything in this. So that, off the bat, I loved. So of course they run into each other at a ball, and because this is sort of an odd mix of historical with some modern elements. I love that it doesn't try to be a historical era. It definitely is historical in terms of the costuming and the general setting, but things like when she is at home, Cam actually just is wearing like graphic tees and shorts in her pajamas, or playing a handheld video game at times. So I like, it's not trying to be super like on point in terms of history, and I think it's cuter for that mix that we've got. So they both have a passion for fashion that they connect over, and really wind up bonding over that and creating events surrounding that, and just generally vibing with each other really a lot. But of course, Lady Brie has no idea Camembert is actually a woman. And they're getting closer and closer, and Lady Brie can't understand why Camembert is not being more forthcoming with her about like progressing their relationship toward romance. And of course, as you can tell, I don't want to give away everything, but obviously they do have something special over grilled cheese sandwiches. That becomes sort of their thing, brunches with the grilled cheese sandwiches. So grilled cheese comes up all throughout and becomes a special thing with them. So of course this has a happy ending. I'm not going to talk anymore about the plot. It just was so lovely and delightful. I think if you really liked The Prince and the Dressmaker, this is a great move from there, where we have this very sort of accepting and like a social progression to this story, because the sapphic love is not something that generally would be accepted, but clearly they're kind of forging their own path once they do finally accept it. I love that the author integrated themselves into the story somewhat, because we do get a big section at the end where they talk about the fact that this is somewhat based off some moments in their own romance with their wife over loving grilled cheese together, and as well a wedding photo that is the inspiration for some of the final scenes. So really absolutely loved that, and sort of the personal inspiration was so cute to get. So this was just a delight through the entirety of it. I read this all in one go, and I think I'm probably going to read it at least one more time before I return it. This was wonderful. So other than that, I have the usual stack that I was not even wanting to actually get out today because it's so huge. So we have Byzantium by Stephen Lawhead. We have Tess of D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. We have Letters to a Young Muslim by Omar Sahif Gobash. We have A Slice of Mars by Guerric. We have The Song of the Cell by Siddhartha Mukherjee. And we have Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell. Very shiny, sorry. So those are all the books I'm currently reading, and I'm like a third of the way through a whole bunch of these. So that is good that we're making progress on all the chunky books, and I do actually have a 3-day weekend next weekend that I'm gonna really buckle down and make some progress. I say, as probably I will not, but hopefully, yeah, we have a long weekend next weekend. So onward to the couple of things I have to say. I don't have very much to talk about. So broadly, in terms of shows that I wrapped up this week, I did finish up Animal Control Season 1, which was a delight. I found it very funny, but I wish Bella, I think is her name, she was in My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and very snarky. She's not snarky as much in this. Like, she's much more genuine as the manager of the Animal Control office, and I miss her snark, but they may have thought that like Joel McHale and her would be too much. But Joel McHale is great, and there was at least one nod to Community that I caught in there, so that was wonderful. Really fun show. Very like, there's not a lot of too much drama, and no actual bad animal situations, which I would worry about being in there, but it's mostly just about the people working there, and they have to catch animals all of the time. There's not really any other horrible situations they're dealing with. And then I also watched Drag Me to Dinner season 1. Wonderful show. So it's a very goofy, entertaining / cooking competition where they have pairs of drag queens, and it is hosted by Neil Patrick Harris and David Burtka, or couple, and Hanifa Robinson, I believe. And the hosts, I think, are great fun. The drag queens, it kind of varied how much I enjoyed which groups of drag queens and who was paired together. But I loved this show so much, and I'm so frustrated because I couldn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to because of everything that's going on in the world right now. So it does go into raunchy humor. And like, we should be able to enjoy some raunchy humor. I know, like, growing up, a lot of older shows in comedy definitely had raunchy humor, and people found enjoyment in it. And it's just so frustrating that now it's like watching those things, I'm like, oh no, like maybe they should have done this really straight-laced and proper in order to not get attacks from people about it. But yeah, we should be able to have that goofy, fun raunch to the humor. So yes, I love the show, but I'm very frustrated with how, like, I can't just enjoy it. So yeah, that was a conflicting one. In terms of the week, I don't think I have anything really to talk about. Obviously, it was a really big news week in the US, big news week in Canada with the horrible wildfire situation and the air pollution everywhere. I mean, even as far south as I am, like, there is some level of impact sometimes. So, like, very little down here, but a little bit of, like, haze to the air. And that's wild. So yeah, I hope everyone that I know in Canada through BookTube is doing well and has not been displaced or impacted. Hopefully everybody is keeping safe with their breathing and protecting their lungs and everything. Yeah, I know, my family, some of my family is in California, and they had to deal with these lengthy wildfire seasons, and it just is really horrible. I know they have had to leave the city that they live in, not because there were wildfires, but just because the air pollution was so bad. They had to get out for a while. So yeah, it's really horrifying. So other than that, recommendations for this week, I have a couple. The first is, I think I talked to you guys about the fact that I had been helping someone deal with a situation of someone who was no longer able to take care of a dog, and we were trying to find a shelter to get this dog into, or someone to take it. So nobody took the dog, and the dog has gone to the APA here. So I just wanted to share as well, just in case, the APA is having a special design of a shirt for Pride that's only available this month, and the deadline to order it is the 13th. So if you do want to maybe order a nice Pride themed shirt, and it's just like a paw print with the progress colors on it, and I think it says acceptance for all, or something like that, something widely welcoming and accepting generally. If you want to order and support the APA based on, like, the fact that dog that I know is there, and they were willing to take this dog even though their doors are completely full. They have been overloaded for weeks. So if you want to go in and support and get a cool Pride merch, you can do that, and I'll put a link down below. The other thing is an Anne Leckie event here, and they videoed it, so you can actually watch this interview with Anne Leckie, who has a new book in the Imperial Ratch series coming out. I think this one kind of stands on its own, and it's called Translation State. So this was part of the promo for that, and I've seen her several times because she's fairly local here. And so this was a great event. I love that she opened talking about how she wanted to incorporate adoption into this, and an adopted character is kind of the primary character, it sounds like. So I loved hearing that expanded on. Her ideas about truly alien minds, I love. I've heard her talk about that sort of tangentially before, but she sort of expanded on that more than I've heard. So I really enjoyed that discussion. So definitely check out that video down below. I have a couple of other like author things that came out this week that I need to watch to see if I want to recommend them, but there's been a lot going on. I feel like summer is tour season. I know later this month, actually, Martha Wells is going to be here, so that one I definitely want to hit. We will see. And yeah, I think that is it for me today. So this has been a week. It's very hot right now, but it's been really surprisingly lovely weather. So I think I'm going to get done here and then read some more because it's still light out. Maybe go outside with a cool drink. Yeah, so I hope you all are doing well. Thank you so much for watching.